Hello YouTube, it's Carlos the Rook, and I'd like to share with you a daily game that I played. And in this game, I played Grand Pooba, who was rated 1480 in this tournament we were playing, and I'm rated 1734 at the time. So he played E4. I responded C5, Sicilian. C3. I responded Knight F6, hitting the E4 pawn since it's weak. This is going into the Alapin, I believe. He responds with E5, knight to D5, and here he goes D4, which is a book move as you see. I capture on D4, and he goes C4, which isn't book. So he should have captured back on D4, or he could have went bishop to C4, hitting the knight, knight B6, bishop B3 is theory. So he played this incorrectly. I dropped the knight back to c7, and you see here the engine wants me to go to b4. But the reason I didn't like b4 is because I felt like I can get hit with an a3, and then my knight's jumping back again, and there's too many knight moves in the opening. But I guess once he hits me with the a3, the knight goes back to c6, which is a more natural square. But however, my other knight wants to come to c6, so I didn't want to put that knight on c6. So he brings his knight out, threatening to take the pawn. I protect the pawn with my knight on c6. Basically, it's going to be a knight trade if he takes the pawn. He brings his bishop to f4 instead of taking the pawn. So I bring my knight over, hitting the bishop. He brings the bishop back, and I go g6. Now the chess.com engine wants g5, which is a bit provocative. My idea was to go bishop into g7 and then castle. I don't care about the pawn so much, but I want to do is put pressure on the e5 pawn. I think that's more important than my e4 pawn. I mean d4 pawn. So he brings bishop to d3, which is the best move in the position. I go bishop g7. The engine wants me to go queen b6, putting another defender on my pawn and hitting that b2. He castles. I castle. And here it wants knight c5, attacking the bishop. The rook comes over to the e file. Now I go queen b6, protecting the pawn and hitting that b2. He goes b3. And here I go f6. The computer says this is an inaccuracy. It wanted the pawn break from the other direction. It wanted d6. That way the king is safer than with the f6. But what I wanted to do is open up the f file for my rook. That way my rook can show some activity. He takes. I take with the bishop. He brings his other knight into play. Now I go d6. And my idea here is to move the knight out the way and bring the pawn up to e5 and have a pawn phalanx with a pawn on d6, e5, d4. If I can get that, it'll be really strong. He brings his bishop here. And I'm not sure what his idea is, bringing the bishop there. Oh, maybe bishop d5, pinning the knight to the king. So I move the knight out. He captures. I capture back. He brings his other knight in, hitting the bishop. I fade the bishop back. Now he's offering a trade of bishops. And I can't retreat my bishop because I know initially I was thinking bishop g7 to not trade off my dark square bishop. Because when you find kettle like this, you want your dark square bishop to stay as a defender. But if I go bishop g7, then he has bishop captures c6, queen captures c6, bishop captures e7, rook to f7, and I drop a pawn. So that's why I felt like I had to take the bishop. Knight captures back, and now I get e5. I got my pawns phalanx that I wanted. He bring the queen up to d3. So I felt like his idea here was to try and do a sacrifice. Hold on. To do a sacrifice on this line here, on this diagonal. Knight captures, pawn captures, bishop captures, with the idea of bishop h7, queen coming to g6 when checkmate is inevitable. So that's what it looks like he has in mind. So I bring the knight over, so now my knight can protect g6. The engine wants rook f4, hitting the knight and the bishop at the same time. But he can just go knight f6, knight f3. Then maybe bishop g4, leading into complications. But black is slightly better in this position. He takes anyway. I take back. He take with the knight. And here, if I take with the knight, it's a perpetual check. Because if knight captures, then it's just queen captures back, and he checks me non-stop, and my king can't get out of the way. So basically what he's trying to do is offer a draw by perpetual check. So I didn't want to do that since he is lower rated than me. So I bring the rook up, declining that. That way if you take the knight, I take back the rook. The queen come in, my rook blocks. He takes with check, and here I just spazzed out. All I gotta do is take with the rook. The queen come check, I block with the rook, and he can't get a check on e6 because my bishop guards e6. So I don't know why I didn't just capture with the rook. Instead, I made the dumbest move. I moved my king over. Now I'm completely losing. The knight goes to d5, hitting the queen. That's the problem with playing daily chess. Like, you're making one move every 5 days. And by the time you come back to the game, waiting on your opponent to make a move, you done forgot what your game plan was. So that's why I prefer to play chess live or play over the board chess versus daily chess. That way I know exactly what my plan is, what I'm trying to do, and what my goal is. Versus you coming back to the position, you done forgot all about the game. And you got to reevaluate everything from scratch. So I dropped the queen to d8. I want to get some defense over here to the king side because my king is wide open. He's swinging the queen over. Now here I'm feeling like maybe I should have allowed the perpetual check because I felt like I was completely losing this position. And if I would have allowed the perpetual check, at least it would have been a draw. I tried to play for a win and I played it wrong. I bring my bishop hitting the queen, trying to get my pieces active. What I want to do is get my queen out, get this other rook out, and then get my king over, walk my king over to the queen side. That's my idea. I know I'm completely losing, but I'm trying to do something to hold off his attack. He checks me here. And now I'm thinking queen h6 check. If my king go to e7, I'm blocking knight to f6 from happening because my rook and queen is guarding f6. But he does have queen h8 check. My king can go to d7. Queen captures queen. Rook captures queen. And then I just have to rely on trying to get this passed pawn on a d file into a queen. Which is going to be really, really hard because he has an advantage here. And his advantage is I got 5 pawns, he got 6. We both got 2 rooks and a minor piece and a queen. But his king is way safer than mine. So I go king e7, which computer says just loses. It wanted me to go to g8. He go f4, busting open the position. Now my pawns are going to fall. I'm thinking, I can't capture here because it's pinned. I wanted to move the rook over to h7 and hit the queen, but that loses to knight f6 when it's a fork on a king and a rook. So I can't do that. I was also thinking about pushing the pawn up to e4. But then if I go e4, trying to lock the position that way so the rook can't get in, g4 is coming. If I go g4, then h7, f5's coming. And then this pawn falls. And my king is still vulnerable. So here I done what I thought was the best move. King d7. The engine wants e4 anyway, even though it's losing. He captures. I capture back. He captures again. Now his rook's in. And I swing my queen over, offering a queen trade. So I figure here, I have no choice. I get the queen off the board, I don't get checkmated. That's the only thing I'm thinking. If I get the queen up, I don't get checkmated. And maybe I can come back in the endgame and do something. So he fades back queen d2. And they say that's an outright blunder. Because they missed a chance to win a pawn. So let me show you the follow-up. Hold on. I have follow-up. Show you the best move. Here, they wanted the queen here. And then the bishop goes here, queen captures, and that would have been the best in the position. Now, let's go back to the move he did. And missed up a chance to, oh my goodness, the rook is free. The rook is free. How did I not see that? This rook is just hanging. What did I do? Queen d2. Oh, I captured it. I did see that. So I saw it in the game. Queen captures e5. He just dropped the rook. Now he brings his other rook over to hit the queen. I fade back to g7. And my idea is to bring the rook over to g8. He wanted me to go to d6 instead. Now he doubled up on the d pawn. So I'll swing over to g8. You take that g pawn, I'm checkmating you. That's my idea. So he goes g3. And here I set up a nice tactic. Bishop to e4. I figured he would think that now he can take the e5, the d4 pawn. But, however, with that bishop move, I set up a really nice tactic. Because as you can see, the rook is controlling this file. So the king can't step over this way. Now the bishop controls the diagonals. If he takes this pawn, queen captures d4. What I had in mind was queen captures g3, pawn captures g3, rook captures g3, king to h2, rook to g2 check, king to h3, rook to h7 mate. And he captures the pawn. So what do? I sacrifice the queen. And I get a brilliant on sacrificing the queen. He resigned here, but let me show you how it could have went. Pawn captures queen, rook captures queen, King has to go here. It's the only move. Rook rook checks. King steps over. And rook h7 is checkmate. So that's why he resigned. And I thought it was a brilliant sacrifice. Completely brilliant. And I wanted to share with you guys. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And have a nice day. Thank you.